Thank you for joining me for this practice today. Today, I'm going to be talking about some different yoga postures that I find helpful for releasing, for finding times to actually feel. And sometimes that's comfortable, sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable, and then you find the point of release. And I think one of the keys is not to judge what you're feeling, to be curious about it, to observe, to understand that everything that you've experienced in your life, including your recent or distant losses, all build on each other. And those sensations hold themselves in your body. So every time something triggers you, there's subtle flinches that may happen in what's called your subtle body in yogic terms. And those subtle activities, those subtle sensations can build up and create tension and tightness. So today we're going to spend some time releasing some of those sensations. And one of the simple ones is cat cow. So we're going to start with a few cat cows here, with your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees, curling your toes under. So on the inhale, focus on bringing your chest forward to lengthen your torso. And as you bring your chest forward, your head will follow. You don't need to do much with your neck here. Just inhaling in. And then as you exhale, place the tops of your feet back on the mat. Pull your belly button into the spine to arch your back into cat, and you're pushing away into the floor. So do that a few times at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling. And this is a very linear movement, and it's really good for your spinal health. Keeping that spine flexible is a really important and useful way to keep your body feeling free from releasing it from knots and tensions. If you'd like, you can take some barrel rolls here. So let your hips go out to the left, let them come forward, let them come to the right, let them come back towards your feet. And again, just doing a few barrel rolls in one direction and feeling the opening sensation. How does that feel different from the sensation of that forward and back cat cow? And then when you come forward, we'll switch directions. So now let your hips come to the opposite side, back towards your feet. And this is a nice organic movement. It's called somatic movement. When you let your body inform you in what it needs, you're listening to the messages it's given you about what feels tense, what is causing discomfort. When you're feeling sad and down, you tend to not care about much. But I invite you to enjoy some of these movements so that you can eliminate the physical discomfort that often comes in times of loss and grief. So having done a few cat cows, we're going to do some twists now. And we'll start with our legs outstretched, bending your right knee. Take your right knee outside of your left if that feels comfortable for you. If that causes your hip to come up off the ground, then keep your foot on the inside of your knee. And then we'll take a nice deep breath in, lifting up. Exhaling, taking your left hand to the outside of your right knee, letting your right arm drop down, and use it as a kickstand to lift you up. And just lift and gently twist here with your gaze out over your chest. And as you inhale and exhale, we'll maybe take you a little bit deeper, maybe rotate your chest just a bit further. And finding that place where you're just noticing the sensations and realizing those sensations are releasing tension. Notice if you're clenching, you may find yourself overextending your straight leg. If you are, feel free to release that a little bit. This doesn't need to be a tense move. If you tense up too much, you'll constrict the release. So find that place where you're releasing whatever you're holding. You don't need to have a certain kind of feel to your belly or to your back. You don't want to be hunched over, but you also don't want to have to feel like you're working too hard. This is meant to feel therapeutic. And then we'll release that by turning back to center and just doing a quick counter stretch the opposite direction. And then we'll come to the other side. Inhaling here. Exhaling, our right arm around our left knee, left arm back behind us, lifting up here. And inhaling in and exhaling to twist just a little deeper. And just breathing into the twist. Feeling extension on the inhale and maybe going a little bit deeper on the exhale. And releasing and coming forward. We're going to come back briefly into tabletop. Then walk your hands out just a bit and press yourself up into downward dog. Downward dog is another good tension release. It's a good release in your back. The key is to really pay attention to this L in your hands so that when you are placing the weight on your hands, that area is taking a lot of the pressure so that your wrists aren't strained. And your tailbone presses to the wall behind you. And then raising your right leg up, bring that right knee into your chest, and then to bring your right hand in between your hands, or helping it up however you need to. And you're going to drop that left knee down. Then we'll take a nice inhale up. So for stability, you're going to feel that right foot really anchored in underneath you. You're going to have your knee over your ankle. Your hips will be square here. And keeping your legs as far apart as you need to have a nice stable base. Taking an inhale in, stretching up to create space in your torso. Exhaling. You can bring your hands behind you, clasp your hands behind your back, opening your chest here, and sink in just a little bit deeper into that left side to open up the psoas here on your left side. So you're lifting to create length in the front of your body, breathing in to that space. Exhaling, bringing your hands down. And then we will come back briefly into tabletop and do the same on the opposite side. So we'll press ourselves back into down dog, lifting the left leg up, bringing the left knee in so that your left foot comes between your hands, helping it up however you need to. Dropping the right knee down, walking yourself up, feeling now the stability of this left foot really anchored in, your left knee over your left ankle, your hips are square, feeling your right shin nice and connected to the mat, and a nice deep breath in here. Exhaling, your hands back behind you, open up the front of the body, release any tension in your shoulders and your heart, counteracting that hunching and protecting that we do of our heart. Letting it see a little light of day here. And then gently sinking in on the right side so that you can feel a little bit more of an opening in the psoas on the right. Breathing in here. Exhaling, letting your hands come up, bringing them down to the mat, bringing your knees together, and come back to sit on your feet for just a moment. Maybe pound out your hips a little bit. Do a little bit of release. See where it feels good. Then I'm going to do a couple of stretches, mermaid stretches. So bring your seat over onto the right side of your feet. If you can hook your right foot over your left ankle. If that's not comfortable for you, it's not necessary. If it's helpful for yourself to sit on a pillow or a blanket on the right side, then feel free to do that. And then we'll take a nice deep breath in. Exhale and drop the left fingers to the outside of the left feet. So your hand will come to the side of your feet while the opposite arm stretches up. And just let yourself open up here, leaning over to the right. Feeling the connection of your right sits bone, either on your blanket or your pillow or your your mat, whatever you're sitting on, feeling that connection. And then creating space, breathing in to create space all along the side of your body. Inhaling here. Really opening, seeing if you can feel that release of tension. I can feel it right here above my hip, all the way into my hip as I breathe. Inhaling yourself back up. And we can take a counter stretch if it's okay with your knees. If you don't have any knee issues, then take your right hand down, bring yourself onto your shins, and take your left leg out and your left arm up. Just feeling an opening here now. Breathing into it. Slowly bringing that arm back down, noticing the sensation. It feels kind of good coming out of that. It can be quite enjoyable. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. So we'll bring our feet out to the right, sitting towards the left. Again, if you want to hook your foot over your ankle, feel free. Get a little bit of an extra set of traction if that works for your anatomy. And then we'll breathe in, exhaling that right arm down and extending with the left arm. Again, now our left sits bones really anchored in. We're creating space all along the left side, freeing it up, creating room for healing. But we're not removing anything important. All the important memories, all the love, all the beauty of the relationship we had with whatever we lost, whoever we lost, that remains. And by creating space, we're letting it see the light of day. Breathing in here. And then slowly coming back up, we can take that left hand down to the mat or the floor, lifting yourself up on your shins, letting the right arm now come up and around. Feeling a nice opening here. Breathing into it. And then slowly coming out of it, letting your body feel the movement of coming out of that pose. And then pausing for a moment in a comfortable seat. Breathing in, finding your center, finding that place on your spine where your tailbone hits the seat beneath you, the mat or the chair or whatever you're in. Feeling the breath kind of flowing up the central line of your body, exhaling it back down, really finding a nice grounding. The next and final posture that we're going to practice today helps with releasing tension in the hips, which is a place where we do store quite a bit of unconscious sensation. So you may feel all kinds of sensations as you do this. The purest version of this, you take your right foot onto your left knee and let your left knee rest on your, I have my right foot on my left knee and my right knee on my left foot so that my shins are parallel. If this is not comfortable for you, there's some things you can do. You can sit on a pillow or a bolster to help with the alignment. You can also just do this with your right leg in front of your left. This is a perfectly fine expression of this pose. It, again, is entirely dependent on your anatomy and how you're feeling today. So we're going to come very subtly, depending on what expression of this you're in. You may come deeper or less forward, but you want to keep your back straight. So I'll show you from the side here. Keeping your back straight, letting yourself come forward, and just stop when you start to feel some releasing sensation. I'm feeling the releasing sensation in my right thigh and right hip right now. So your sits bones are really connected, your torso is lifted, and you don't have to come very far forward to get that release. Coming further forward doesn't make it better. It doesn't give you more release. It could actually bypass some of the necessary feelings that there are to be had in this stretch. So we'll just breathe here. And you can stay here as long or as short as you'd like. And like I said, this is absolutely fine to do with the right shin in front. If you need to come further forward to have enough sensation, you feel free to put some props in front of you to help support you so that you can really sink into the sensation of the release. And then slowly bringing yourself up, and then we'll take our knees back. Bring your hands behind you. Maybe just windshield wiper your knees side to side a couple times. And then we're going to come to this on the opposite side. So I'm going to have my left foot on my right knee, my left knee on my right foot, shins parallel, or left shin in front of right if you're taking this version of it. Again, straight back, lifting, and then coming forward just to that point where you start to feel the release of tension now in your left leg, your left thigh. It's a deep release here. And you may feel it all the way into your tailbone. And just sinking into that sensation, letting yourself be. If you have any cramping, feel free to unwind and shake your legs out and come back into it if that feels okay. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly walk yourself back up, bringing your feet down, and again, moving them side to side. Thank you for joining me today as we reviewed some different activities that you can do to find some release. I hope that you have found these helpful, and I look forward to sharing some other things with you in the coming weeks.